And then they put the gun, one to my temple and the other one to my stomach. And the one guy in front of me said, "I'm going to kill you now, you white bitch." And then I thought, why like this? Why am I going to die like this? And the guy pulled the trigger. Well, yeah, I had, it was a Monday morning, and it was 12 noon. I remember it very well, of course. And what had happened was I'd just come back from the bank. I'd just got a lot of petty cash for the week. And we had a new PA who'd started with us, and she'd been there for 4 days. Her name was Wendy, and I knew her very well. And she was a large lady and very nice. And anyway, so I'd just arrived home with the petty cash, and Dad had gone out to a job. And I picked up the telephone. In those days, we still had a telephone. I turned around and I saw this man who had a balaclava on. And I motioned, I was on the phone, and I motioned to him to come down and to come in. Because we had no burglar bars in those days, and we had no problem. We had no fear of anyone. And even though he was a robber, I motioned for him to come in. And then a second man came, and they ran up to me and they put a knife in my chest. They didn't pierce it, but they put a knife in my chest. And I said to the friend who was about 45 minutes away, I said to him, Greg, I said to him, "Oh my God, I'm being hijacked." Because I didn't know that I was being robbed. I said, "Oh my God, I'm being hijacked." And the man with the knife cut the line, and that was it. And then Wendy went hysterical, and she was full of fear. And I went into a different kind of a mode. I went into absolute fear, and then it just left me. And I was as cool as anything. The one had a gun, and this one had a knife, and they knew who I was, obviously, that I was the boss's wife. And he said, "Money, guns, money, guns," and the gun to my head. And I said, "Well, here's all the money." It was only 2,000 rand, but in those days it was quite a lot of money. And I said, "Here are the money." And I said, "There are no guns." But there were lots of guns, because Dad, before anything, when he was growing up, he was a gun collector. And so he had 2 big gun safes upstairs in your bedroom. There was that cupboard.
Yeah, I remember.
And so he had the gun safes there full of guns. And I had a 38 Special that was a revolver that was underneath the bed in its holster. Dad had put the holster hanging under the bed for in case, And anyway, I knew that I had that one, and I knew that one was full of hollow point bullets. Now, hollow point bullets can do a lot of damage. And I just said, no guns. And the one chap was completely mad. He would run around the house looking at things, then he'd come back every now and again and he'd say, "Money, guns," put the gun in my face. Anyway, Wendy was hysterical. What had happened was they took us out of the office area towards Wendy's car. And now it was midday and it was boiling hot. And she had an Opel hatchback, blue one. And she was a large girl. So what they did was they opened the one with the balaclava on, opened the boot. And he said to her, "Get in." And she got in. And she filled the whole boot, And then he said to me, "Get in." And I said, "But I can't. I can't. There's no space." He said, "Get in." And I said, "But I can't." And he took my ponytail and he shoved me in, and he pushed the door closed, and we were sweltering in there. And I was lying squashed up, and I was quite very thin as well, small, and I was squashed up against the back of the hatchback. And Wendy had a father her father was a mechanic, and what he'd done on her car, he'd made a switch. He put in a switch so that instead of turning the key, you couldn't turn the key in the ignition to start it. So you had to put the switch on first. Okay.
Yeah, so an immobilizer, basically.
Okay, well, I didn't know that, So this guy was trying to start the car and he couldn't start the car. I don't know, you have strange thoughts when you're in these circumstances. And I thought, well, I had masses of diamond jewelry on and things, and I started to take it off. And I started to just put it under the carpet, because I thought, if it goes off, I'll just throw them out and Dad will see, sort of like Hansel and Gretel thing. Dad will see the jewelry and he can follow the jewelry. It was a stupid thing. But anyway, so I had all the jewelry off, and this guy couldn't start the car. So what he did, after it was quite a long time, maybe 10 or 20 minutes, he opened the boot, and we were swollen. Our bodies were swollen to an incredible size, because I had a watch that was like a bracelet watch, and I'd taken the watch off, and all the rings except this ring I've never been able to even get off. And I had them there, and I shoved them all under the carpet. You could see all the imprints of the jewelry because my body had swollen up so much. And anyway, so he took me first, and she was following us. And then he pushed me into this little bamboo thicket that we had, you see, and he started taking his trousers down, and he was hitting me. I had this very short skirt on, and he was hitting me flat hand in between my legs so hard. I mean, if you can't imagine being raped or anything like that. I knew what he was up to, and he was hitting me, and then I just ignored him, and so I just walked off. I just kept walking towards the house, and he had to actually follow me, and then he had to pull his trousers up again, and by that time I was in the house,
So you managed to escape that. So he was basically just molesting you, and he was attempting to rape you.
He was attempting to rape me, and there was an attempted rape charge put against him, but I don't know, the gods were with me, because I was so calm, and I just walked off at that point. Afterwards I wasn't calm, but during it was about an hour, during that whole time I was very calm, and I just walked off as if it was nothing. Meantime, I knew exactly what he was going to do, and what he was getting ready to do, and anyway, I managed to escape that one.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I'm really happy you did. Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah, well, you can't live after that, no. And so rough, and anyway, it was just awful. So there we were. So he had to now follow me into the house, and Wendy was following him, so we all went back into the house. In the meantime, the other guy, the one that was a bit mad, had been ransacking the house. So there were shoes lying all over the show, and there were jackets and leather jackets and things. And then he said to me, "Get a bag." Took me to my wardrobe, and he said, "Pack." And there were lots of shoes and stuff, and he just got me to pack the shoes and pack whatnot. Then he said to us, kept coming up, and he got me against the wall again with the gun to my head here, and he said, "Guns and money." And I said, "You've got all the money, there are no guns." Then he went upstairs. So when we got up the stairs, he pulled us both up there, Wendy and I. She had some beautiful gold necklaces on chains. He ripped them off her neck. He just took them and he just ripped them off. And I put my hand behind my back, my hands, because my chain watch, the imprint was so big because we were swollen.
Yeah, from being stuck in the boot of the car.
In that heat.
Yeah.
And luckily he didn't see that. And thank goodness he didn't see my wedding ring, because it's not the wedding ring. It's just that I'm terrified of having people, they bite people's fingers off for their rings. Yeah. I'm not joking, Vince. They do that. And I just remembered all of that. So luckily I had my hand behind my back and no jewelry on. Then he took us upstairs to that walk-in cupboard, to that gun safe. Luckily that room didn't have a ceiling on it, but it was a very dark room with these two big gun safes in it. And he opened the door and he threw us both in there, Wendy and I. And I said to him, because I knew the gun safes were there, and I don't know why, I said, "I'm scared of spiders." I made this big noise. "I'm scared of spiders. I'm scared of spiders. Take me out." And he opened the door and he pulled me out and he locked Wendy in there. And I thought, well, she's okay now because she can breathe and she can just stay in there. And he didn't see the gun safes. And then he took me around the corner into your room, and you'd left a wallet there on the floor. And he said, "You said there's no money." And I said, it's my young boy's wallet. There's nothing in it. And there was nothing in it.
No, there was nothing ever in my wallet at that age.
And that just reminds me that morning, it was a Monday morning, you said you were sick and you didn't want to go to school.
Yeah, I remember.
And I forced you to go to school. And because, in South Africa, we're not namby-pamby. So I forced you to go to school, and you did, thank goodness.
Yeah.
Thank goodness, because you were of that age where you wanted to protect your mother, and there would have been a problem. He would have killed you for sure.
Yeah.
So in the room, there was a little bar fridge. It was empty, but there was a little bar fridge. And so I opened the door, and he told me to get into the bar fridge. I said, I can't get into the fridge. He said, get into the fridge. And he was very rough, pulling my hair and all the stuff. And I said to him, but I can't get into the bar fridge. And he just goes like this. And then he just sighed, and he shut the bar fridge door, and then he went to the wardrobes. Now, your wardrobes didn't have any locks on them. And then he looked in the wardrobes, and then he realized something, and then he took me downstairs. And as he took me downstairs, Dad arrived home. And he wasn't expected at all to arrive home. And so at the bottom of the stairs was the front door. So he had me at the front door. And then the other one was there. And they each had a gun pointed. This other one had found my gun under the bed. And I thought, now I'm in trouble. Because I knew my gun had live rounds. I didn't know what the black gun had in it, but I knew mine had. And now they each had a gun. And so they were standing there. And the mad one went outside the front door, and he was running up and down the side there, and I could see Dad's shadow, because as I was standing, the other one had his gun to me, and I had to stand. They made me stand in front of the front door, and I could see Dad's shadow coming around the side and stopping, and this other one was right near him. He was just about to shoot him as Dad came around the corner, and Dad went back again. I couldn't believe it. And then he just disappeared. And well, he will tell you what he'd decided, but he just disappeared and went round the house to check something. And at that point, they were still scared enough of Dad that they pushed me outside now with the two guns down the property. And we were just busy building a little office outside, so it was half built. And then they put the gun, one to my temple and the other one to my stomach. And the one guy in front of me said, I'm going to kill you now, you white bitch. And then I thought, why like this? Why am I going to die like this? And the guy pulled the trigger, and Dad came out the door, and they ran off, and I didn't die. You can't get your mind around a thing like that. I didn't die, and so then I was still in this strange mode. One ran down towards the river, and the other one ran towards the gate. And I said, who should I follow? Who should I follow? And so I followed the one going towards the river. And they went so fast. As I was following him, I realized that they didn't care about me. And I was right at that big bamboo thicket that we had, and I did a duck in there. So I ran in there, and I just stood. And then it all calmed down, and I walked back into the house through the office door downstairs. And I walked in there, and I saw all this mayhem. The chairs had been overturned, and there was shoes lying in odd places. And there was no Wendy, and there was nothing going on. So I was in a stupor, actually. I didn't know what to do, so I just sat. What this incident did to me, Winston, was, I'd never seen color. I'd never had fear. I'd always lived a happy life. And it was that, but what it did to me was it broke my heart. It made me fearful, made me put up burglar bars and beams and bars in the house, and it just destroyed me, actually.
I remember well. I remember coming into the house once, and you got an incredible fright just because I walked in the house.
Yeah,
and I remember another time a security guard came on the property, and you just kind of cowered into a corner. It was a big thing. It really messed you up. Yeah. And
I was in that outside office that was being built. It was completed, and I had my desk out there, and somebody on the property who we knew just walked around the corner, and I found myself under the desk in the corner.
You know, this whole event was a big life-changing event for myself and the whole family. It really changed the way things happened around the property and how things moved forward, you know, going from that point. And I honestly don't think you've ever fully recovered from it, just from my own observations over the years.
Yeah. No, I haven't.
And it certainly changed my perspective on a lot of things, especially since the guy who attacked you is someone that I knew and had worked with, you know, and treated him like a normal, everyday person, and treated him with respect, and, you know, that you treat your fellow man. And to see that happen to you and to Dad, because, you know, he narrowly missed getting killed too.
Yes,
and,
of course.
And myself, if I'd been there, there's no doubt that I would have been murdered, because I wouldn't have stood by.
No chance.
And I wouldn't have had the thought to do anything. You know, I really don't think I would have acted properly in that situation. I would have tried to do something, and it would have made it worse.
Yes.
You know, it's a tough situation, but I really appreciate you speaking about this, because I often talk, you know, about South Africa when I do, because I don't talk about it often. And I mentioned that this is one of the things that have happened, one of the big life-changing things that happened to me in South Africa and to the family. But I think a lot of people think I'm just talking bullshit.
Oh, no.
Because it doesn't seem correct that someone like myself would have experienced, or our family would have experienced so many, you know, outlandish things.
Yes, and many.
Many out. And growing up was a very interesting and sometimes traumatic and a very difficult experience in South Africa. And it has led me to the way I am these days. And so I really appreciate you coming on and actually telling the story. I know it's a difficult thing to tell, so thank you very much.
Yeah.
Now, of course, this is only part of the story. In the next video, I will get my father to explain his side of the story and how he actually rescued my mother. You'll also find out why my mother didn't die when the guy pulled the trigger. And I'll also give you my side of the story too. I appreciate you all watching this. You know, this is a very personal part of my life, and it's something that definitely had a big impact on me. And I appreciate you sitting through it. I did go through a lot in South Africa. This is just one of the things that happened. And I thought I finally owed you all an explanation. So I'll see you in the next one. And until then, you know the drill. As always, stay awesome.